Welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered Romance Nights. We are your hosts, Kolleen.
And I'm Marjorie. Tonight's episode, we have award-winning romance author Trinity Lemm. She began her writing career in college and enjoys writing realistically flawed characters along with fast-paced short stories. Welcome to Unfiltered Romance Nights podcast, and we are extremely excited to have you.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Absolutely. So before we chat about your books, we have a few questions to get to know you better and kind of some icebreakers. So the first question is being an author your full-time job, or do you have another career?
I actually have another career at the moment. I'm a digital marketing manager at a nonprofit, so that's kind of my day job. And then I continue writing on the side.
Nice. It must be hard to juggle both, though, right?
It's definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
Definitely a challenge, and definitely causes me to kind of write at a slower pace than what I would like to.
Yeah.
But maybe someday I will go full time, just not currently there yet.
Okay.
That makes sense. So although you started writing in college and, we see that you've received a degree in entrepreneurship with a minor in dance, would you mind telling us about that, like more about that?
Yeah, so I grew up dancing, and I kind of always had sort of like a business drive to me. I was always kind of intrigued with a business aspect as well. I actually, growing up, wanted to own my own dance studio or company. That was kind of the initial plan. And then I kind of went through college. I worked at a dance studio for a while. And then I was like, I don't know. At that point, I also had a lot of issues with my back. So I was like, I'm not really sure if I'll be able to do it for another 30 years. So eventually I went kind of into marketing and kind of fell in love with that route and got my new job. So.
Oh, nice. What kind of dancing? Like ballet or?
Primarily like ballet, contemporary, lyrical, jazz.
All of it.
Pop, yeah, all of it.
Oh, that's funny. I used to be obsessed with the show Dance Moms. So that's hard. That's tough. Now, as well as being an author, are you also an avid reader?
I love reading. I try to read as much as I possibly can. It is unfortunately hard to with my current schedule because a lot of my free time goes towards writing. If I do have any time to read, I am all over it.
Yeah. What are you currently reading now?
I am currently reading Collide, the hockey romance. I love it. I think halfway through. But yeah, it's really good. I also try to practice what I preach. So if I'm writing hockey romance, I try to read as much of it as I can to kind of keep my creative juices flowing and to kind of keep me in the right mindset, I guess. But yeah, that's my current read.
Okay. So to help you unwind, do you have any hobbies that help you unwind if you're stressed out or you just have a writer's block or anything like that?
I am honestly a huge true crime lover.
Ooh.
I love true crime. And also just Twilight, of course. I will throw on Twilight or true crime. They're obviously very stark differences, but if I do just need something to just kind of sit down and relax and rewind, I'll just kind of throw usually one of those on and just try to let my mind be at ease for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, Marjorie and I just watched, well, I don't know if we'd really call it true crime, but it's got crime in it. High Potential.
Oh, yes.
That's so good.
A good one, yeah.
I have not seen it.
Yeah, it's the first season. It was really good. And it has some humor to it, so I like it.
I did too. I like it too. I love the female main character. Just how straightforward she is, and like no nonsense kind of thing. So, it's been a while since I found like a good kind of like crime, drama or TV show. Like I love Criminal Minds, so. If I can't find anything, I usually go back to that and be like, okay, it's time to restart the whole series. I haven't like watched the very, very new ones on Paramount.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know there were new ones.
Well, my favorite character's not there, so.
Oh. Now, just to backpedal a little, because this is the most important question of the night. Team Jacob or Team Edward?
I will always be Team Edward. I'm not just specifically for Bella. I have to go Team Edward.
Okay. Well, now that we got that out of the way.
I don't think I haven't talked to anybody that like actually says Team Jacob. It's always Team Edward. I mean, I don't know. It just. I mean, I agree. It's Team Edward. I was Team Edward from the very beginning. So
yeah. That's because Jacob's too much of like a golden retriever.
Yeah, he kind of won't.
Oh well. Now, when writing, I know because you juggle so much. Do you have to set yourself to a specific schedule, or is it just kind of like, I'm just going to write when the spirit moves me?
Lately I've been horrible with getting myself to sit down and do it. So I'm really trying to kind of get back into my groove and kind of set a schedule, but I typically aim to write on the weekends.
Yeah.
At least like a couple hours in the morning on Saturday or Sunday or whatnot, just to try to keep myself accountable. But obviously it doesn't always happen. So I need to get better at that.
Yeah. Well, but you have to write when you feel it, because then that's how you're going to have your best story.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Do you have like, in the new year, at the beginning of the year, do you usually like have a goal of how many books you try to publish in a year, or it's just kind of like however it works out?
I try to aim pretty far ahead, because it does take me a bit longer in the writing process and the editing process. I kind of like to take my time getting to know my characters before I really dive into the story and really start typing away. But so far I've been aiming at 1 to 2 a year. That's kind of where I've been at ever since I started. So hopefully eventually when I do start holding myself more accountable, I'll be trying to bump it up a little bit more. But my goal is always 1 to 2 a year at least.
Yeah. And your books are not short. So, that's I think that's good. I know I had read when I was reading about you a little bit, you do your series, your novels, and then you also like to write some short stories also.
I actually don't write short stories.
Oh, I don't know. I think I read it on Amazon.
Maybe. Did it say short stories?
I thought I read that.
Maybe I need to go check.
Well, maybe you're gonna. No, I don't know.
Maybe eventually I will.
Now, this, not to put you on the spot, but to put you on the spot, give us 3 words, just 3, that you would use to describe your books.
Okay, I feel like it kind of depends on which books, because they are all so different. But I've primarily been focusing a lot on kind of the last 2 and kind of getting those 2 out there. The duet, the roommates duet, my hockey romance duo. For those 2 specifically, I would say funny,
Mm-hmm.
swoony, and sweet.
I could agree with that.
um, I guess. Would you be able to kind of like pick? I guess we're putting you on the spot right now. What would you say would be like the most difficult book to write out of all the books that you've written?
Ooh. I think with Home, which was a contemporary romance standalone I did a few years ago, that one was difficult because there was surprisingly a lot of research that I had to do for it.
Okay.
My MMC is kind of a lawyer, so I kind of had to go through a lot of research to learn, his day-to-day, things that go into it, and just really narrow down the specifics of all the details in the story. It took place in California, which at the time I had not been to California before. And really research, all the weather and the laws and a ton of things. And that one was also a little bit intricate because it's a very emotional romance. So there was a lot of backstory to it. A lot of intricate moving parts, I guess you could say. So that was difficult with that one. But the roommates duet was honestly maybe more difficult because
Really?
yeah, they're interconnected standalones. So it's two couples that are kind of best friends. However, they live all under the same roof and the timelines are exactly the same. So
yeah.
there was a lot of crossover. And it was difficult to kind of make sure that the timelines perfectly matched up. I had to go back and check like dialogue if there were scenes that were incorporated into both books just to make sure everything matched up and aligned. And it was a very difficult process. I'm not going to lie. I don't know why I did that to myself. It seems to work out in the end. So
Yeah, definitely. Now, I'll tell you that we read the Puck Arrangement. So it's book one in the roommates duet. So this is just for anybody listening that hasn't read it yet. This is a book of 4 roommates, more or less forced to room together. Can you remember how you came up with this story? I mean, because there's, like you said, there's so many moving parts and it was so interesting. Like, how did this come to life for you?
well, to start, I honestly was never really into hockey growing up. We didn't watch it in my house. My dad was just not really a hockey fan. He preferred football. And it wasn't until I got to college that I kind of started getting into it a little bit more. I attended Western Michigan University, which is a huge, huge, huge hockey school. I think right now they're like 3rd or 4th in the nation. So
Wow.
yeah, so we'll see how they do at the end of the year. But yeah, I started going to the games. I started reading more hockey romance, and then I had friends that were on the team. So I kind of just naturally slid into it, I guess you could say. And then in regard to the plot itself, truthfully, I don't remember the moment that it kind of came to me. I do remember one of my friends that I had met through kind of some of my friends that were on the team. She had told me a story about how she accidentally ended up living with a bunch of them. And I think that kind of like stuck in my head. Just kind of planted the little seed, and it just eventually sprouted into what it is now.
Yeah, that's perfect. I thought about that. I'm like, does that really happen? And guess it does.
Yeah. Well, since you know kind of a lot of kind of like a side question, does your friends know that you kind of like write books, or any like family that have read your books or anything like that?
Yeah, a lot of my friends will dive into them whenever I finish them. They love ARC reading for me, which is always great.
Yeah.
One of my good friends has been editing for me as well. She's one of my editors, which is also great to have someone be able to kind of look at it, especially someone that kind of knows your writing style a little bit more and knows you personally, so they can kind of have a different point of view than someone that is editing that doesn't know you so well. But yeah, they do read it and support, and I love them for that.
Oh,
That's awesome.
did I know you went to school, you got your degree in entrepreneurship and minor in dance. Did you take any English or writing classes that sparked this for you?
I actually did not.
Funny.
I always liked writing growing up. And I was always a little book nerd, even in like middle school and high school and everything. And in high school, I wrote a lot of poetry. And it wasn't until I got into college that I kind of decided to dive into fiction. And just kind of naturally it grew, I guess.
Yeah.
I did take like creative writing and English classes throughout high school, obviously, but none in college.
So we know, like, in the puck arrangement, it was Lane and Bridget's story, and then Ice Match is Crew and Dakota's story. Will there any other hockey players that will get a book?
Yes. So I recently subtly kind of announced the remaining 4 players in the starting line will all get their own book. So Matt and Eleanor will be getting their book. Jet, TJ, and Cody, they will all be getting a book. Did you say yes?
Jet, yeah, Jet and his sneaky lemonade and vodkas.
He's a wild boy, but
I like him. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are so Team Jet, or they're like really interested by TJ. I don't really know why. You definitely see more of TJ in the Ice Match than you do in the puck arrangement. I think you see kind of a little more of all of them in the Ice Match, honestly. But yeah, everyone is Team Jet.
I don't know. He's just like, I just picture him, and then like at first in the puck arrangement, you think, oh, is this guy going to be creepy? Like, come with me to my room. And I'm like, I don't know. And then he's like, no, we're just doing it like to get it Lane. And I was like, oh, okay. But you could just tell like the group of guys, like they're such good friends and they have each other's backs, especially, I don't know if I should say anything, but when that one scene happens with, was it Ethan?
For sure.
Yeah. Like everyone was like, yeah, try it. But I like that.
Yeah, me too. I love their team dynamic.
Yeah.
I think also too, if it's like a, like any type of sports romance, usually a lot of people will always ask for the side characters. Like, oh, are they going to have their own story? They're going to, like, especially if they're like kind of like part of the stories, like as a side characters, you just always like, oh, I want more. Like, where are the other ones, I think that's normal almost nowadays. Like if it's, whether it's hockey or football, I noticed that like if the author starts introducing like some of the side characters here and there, everyone will always ask like, you just finished this book and now you're asking for more. Like we're never satisfied as readers.
No.
Yeah, I had a lot of people immediately ask me about Matt and Eleanor after reading the Ice Match, and I kind of knew already while I was writing the Ice Match that I was going to give them a book, but I also just got so attached to all the side characters myself, I think, that I was just immediately excited to do it for all of them.
Yeah, I think that's great. Well, I'm excited about that.
We'll keep you busy though.
Yeah,
right.
Very busy.
Right, like we'll be like, well, you have stories to tell
right.
a couple more months, or
We're
however
gonna
how
need you to
many.
quit that job.
And just be like, can you like get on and writing though? Like, there's what, at least 3 more stories or stuff like that.
Ugh,
No pressure.
right. I
Like, we have
know.
to like remember, no pressure. Um, so, for like any new readers, that are, interested in reading your books, where would you recommend them starting? Or like, do you have like a reading order that they need to follow?
Honestly, I always just say go straight to the puck arrangement and the ice match. They are my favorite stories so far that I've done. And they're interconnected standalone, so you can read them in either order. I do recommend reading the puck arrangement first, but I have heard some readers say that they read the ice match first and then the puck arrangement, and it still made perfect sense and was enjoyable and whatnot. But I definitely recommend the puck arrangement first.
Yeah. Now, to put you on the spot once again, out of all the couples, who would you say is your favorite?
We always do this to
I
him.
know.
It feels like I'm picking a favorite child.
I know.
Right.
Everyone says that.
I don't have any children yet, but this is the closest I have.
Yeah.
Feels like. Out of all, does this include like the characters that haven't gotten books yet?
No.
No,
No.
like just written ones.
Because we can't judge you if you pick one of them.
Okay. It's hard because they're all so different.
Right.
I like Lane.
You like Lane?
Yeah, Lane and Bridget.
I do love Lane and Bridget. They're kind of like my sweet couple.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like the comfort couple almost, because they're both so much more mature than everyone else around them. But I do love the banter between Coda and Crew.
Yeah.
I love their banter and their dynamic and just the way that they end up together. So maybe them. Honestly.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. I bet you people might feel the same way because there's a lot of people that just prefer the enemies to lovers type. So, yeah.
Do you have like I guess, well, besides, the other books that you'll be writing for the hockey players, do you have like a trope or subgenre that you haven't, written that you would want to write in the future or interested in like diving into kind of thing?
Ooh. This is hard because I kind of have some of them that I think will be incorporated into the next 4. But out of everything, I feel like, oh no, I can't say that because then I'll give stuff away.
Oh. We won't tell anyone.
Oh my gosh. I'm excited for the childhood best friends to lovers.
Okay.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah. Now, have you written and I looked at your books. Any fantasy? Have you ever written any fantasy or?
I have not written fantasy.
Yeah.
Not yet, at least. Maybe
Okay.
one day I will get there. I do want to try thriller. Because me and my true crime mind.
Yeah.
I think I would really enjoy it. But it will be such a switch up from what I've been doing. So we'll see how that goes. But I definitely would be open to trying fantasy in the future.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel like with fantasy, you have to like almost like plan everything because you have to build a like a world that doesn't exist, and then like I feel like it's more like logistics than just the story. Because I've seen like other authors that will have like here's the map of the world. It's like, okay, well, that's another one that you have to like write down everything.
It's hard enough to write a story that's in a world that exists. So I'm like, I don't know how I will make up a whole brand new universe. Like, I feel like I'm creative. I don't know if I'm that creative, though. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could like fantasy authors, like, you know, especially like I've seen like names that you cannot pronounce, or like I was like, okay, well, I mean, he pretty much can make up things in there, or like even names, because it's like, hey, it's fantasy. It doesn't have to make sense.
True. Yeah, I'm too simple-minded to read some fantasy because it starts to get all, no. I can't keep up. I couldn't read, no hate to anyone that loved the Zodiac Academy. I just couldn't follow. I don't, I guess, I don't know.
There's too many books in that series. Though. It's like noob.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Do you have, other than the continuation of the ice hockey world, do you have any other books coming out or any other projects that you can talk about?
I do have a few thrillers in mind.
Good.
I kind of have like a murder mystery. I love Scream. I love all the Scream movies. So any murder mystery, I'm all for it. So I do have a murder mystery in mind. And then I do have kind of it's a thriller, but it has some dark romance qualities in there. Those are kind of the two that are at the forefront of my mind.
Okay.
Outside of those two, I have no idea.
Okay.
You're like, let me finish the other stuff first before we add more, right? Do you have, for like the current books that you already have published, do you have any special editions that are already out, or do you have any plans to do any special editions?
I do not have any that are out yet. I would love to do special editions in the future. I think it's kind of just a matter of figuring out how to do it, and when to do it. That would be best. That fits into, the schedule of everything else that's going on.
Yeah, it's true. And then you got to decide whether or not you want like the cartoony, like that, like those type of covers, or do you? Yeah, I guess a lot goes into it. Yeah. Well, this is the last question, and I like to get all the juicy details for everyone. Are you planning to attend any book signings? Anything planned that we could let everyone know about?
Well, I leave for Sports Romance Con tomorrow.
Yes.
Oh,
nice.
So I will be there this weekend. And then in May, I will be at Beachside Book Fest in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
August, I will be doing a solo signing at Pages and Grapes in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And then September, I will be at Romance Con in Milwaukee. And then October, I will be at Love and Other Books in Ferndale, Michigan.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't know if you were in. I saw that you and you said you went to school in Michigan. I didn't know if you were from there.
I'm originally from Illinois, but
okay.
I live in Michigan now.
Yeah. Okay. It's a little cold for me. Yeah. Well, that's exciting. Do you like to have you done book signings before?
I did Romance Con last year, in Milwaukee. I loved it. It was so much fun. I loved getting to meet a bunch of my readers and a bunch of my writing friends too. Because we all live so far. So being able to kind of meet in person is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. And it's like it's exciting. Like, I don't know. Like, I've been to a few as a guest, obviously, and some of the bigger ones can be overwhelming, but when it's a little bit smaller, it's like you get to really talk to people, and it's fun. Yeah. I think I went to you've been to a really good one, Marjorie.
I've been to one last year. It was Sinners and Stardust. It's huge. So, like trying to talk to authors, you don't get a lot of time, especially if there's like long lines. There are some authors that I knew that didn't have as long line as others, so I could kind of commandeer their table and just like chit chat until somebody comes up like, oh, it's my turn. It's like, okay. But it was overwhelming because it was huge event. There was like 2 floors for the signings.
Oh wow.
So like logistically, like you have to like figure out like, okay, which ones do you want to see on the upper level? And then, either you go the same day or the next day, because it was 2 days. But lugging around even with a crate full of books was still kind of like, nope, I need to like I can only do it once a year. As much as I want to like go to all of the signings, I was like, it's expensive. And then you keep buying books. And I'm just like shipping them. I was mad about the shipping because when they came in, even though I put it on a crate and all that stuff, half of the books that were paperback were like bent, and I was just like, oh. And then, but yeah, thankfully, like my favorite ones, I packed them in a suitcase and then just put it in a check bag, so that wasn't too bad. But moving forward, I think it's like once a year and then like smaller signings.
Yeah.
So it's, you get more interaction with authors, I feel like. So
Yeah,
that's very true.
Well, that brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you so much for meeting us. And I am so excited for Jet's book, No Pressure.
no, I said no.
No pressure. So yeah, it was a pleasure to have you.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. This was a lot of fun, and I always love being able to talk with people about anything book related. So thank you guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you. We appreciate your time, especially your traveling tomorrow. No.
Oh yeah. Well, and for our listeners, be sure to follow us on our socials and make sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any of our new episodes. If you have any authors you'd like to see on our podcast, you can DM us on Instagram at Unfiltered Romance Nights. Well, that's all. See you next time.
Bye.